Hello, viewers. All the time, I'm going to be in the receiving end. Someone will be anchoring me. I'll be doing it in regional. Now, I got someone who everyone will be excited to know his views. For one reason, I need to take you back to 2009, 2008, 2010. I got an opportunity to work with the Proteas team just because of the man who's sharing the screen with me. He's the one who took me, to the Proteas team, talking to the manager, talking to the coach to get me in after seeing me work in RCB. First things first, I'm foremost grateful to this gentleman who's sitting next to me. And we have been boring you with the regional stuff, talking in Tamil. Now we are going to take it to the next level in English. Who else can I get? The best in the world? The best team that I've ever seen in the world has ever seen, holding up the number one rankings for more than someone you need to compare with someone like Roger Federer. Second thing is, which I'm going to talk about, not about his skills, he's got a heart of gold. I have a brother relationship with him, but I'm going to bowl more googlies to him, even though he's got one of the fastest 50s for South Africa batting in Test cricket in Port Elizabeth. I'm just going to just blitz down some googlies, but I'm sure that still they've got the skill enough to bat that. Welcome, Dale.
Thanks, P-Dog. Thanks for finally having me. Just by the way, I know I've been watching your YouTube. I sneak in. You got Ashwin. You got all the big dogs, and I was like, can we do this? And I'm glad that you agreed to do it. So yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, good that that you're planning to talk in Tamil as well, because you know that even though I talked to Ashwin and the big dogs, it's always been a regional stuff. And particularly a lot of people wanted me to do in Tamil to get the best out of me. But now I've decided, okay, I'm going to turn it on to English. I'm going to bowl a googly to you, Delo. You have played IPL for many years. You've played IPL for many teams. I want to ask you a question. You've been part of a team for, say, example, 8 years. You started it with a team. And the ninth year, when they're planning to retain, and they're going to say, this is going to be the slabs that is being designated by the IPL Governing Council, for example, 18, 14, 11, 18, 11, 14, or whatever it is. And then they say that, okay, this is going to be the price slab we are going to give you. Will you negotiate them saying that, no, there is a price slab that can be distributed amongst players. I am a top player. I want to get more money. You can probably reduce it from the lesser players, or you would say, look, I started IPL with you. I've been with you for 8 years. I've been the face of your team. I want to do well for this team. I want to stay with this team. Let me know what it is. It's going to be amicable for us, but I'm never going to say I'm going to take this many out of this player, that player. I want this. I'm asking a honest question. This is the first Google to you.
It's a tough one, P-Dog, because I think there's two ways that we've got to look at this. Firstly, you got to look at it is that I would go to India as an overseas player. So I'm going over as an overseas, and you're almost happy to go to any team originally. You know, you come into the auction and you're like, I just want to play in the IPL. If you go and ask any overseas player, they'll tell you, I just want to play in the IPL. Doesn't matter which team I play for. So from an overseas point of view, you don't have that kind of connection that you do with, say, Rohit at Mumbai, or Bumrah at Mumbai, or Hardik at Mumbai, or like Kohli at RCB, even though he's not originally from Bangalore, but he's been there for so long. So you don't have that kind of connection just yet. But then once you do get to the IPL and you play for a couple of years, you think that you start to become part of this family, you know, so to speak. You know, you're doing well for the team. You're one of the best players. They want to retain you. So then it becomes a decision between the player, especially the overseas player. I'm talking specifically overseas player, and the coaching staff. Because if the new coaches come on, you might not see eye to eye with that coach. And that coach might have a new vision. He might have a new understanding of how he wants things to be and how he wants things to run. Now, all of a sudden, that family that you had for the last 2 or 3 years, that's going to change. That's going to change. The environment's going to change. The way you train is going to change. The coaches are going to change. And as an overseas player, you might not see fit to that space. And you might look elsewhere at another coach, at another team that you do identify with. But then becomes the retention. So now we move on to the retentions. And now it becomes a conversation as to how much, if you wanted to stay, how much are you willing to stay for? And very often it becomes a negotiation between the franchise and the player, because the IPL will put out those retention numbers, but that's not to say that those players are going to specifically get those numbers. We look at some of the players now that have had massive pay drops, but they are retained players. And you think, well, if I'm being a retained player, you want me, you want to keep me, then you must pay me top dollar. It doesn't always work like that. So just from an overseas point of view, you're happy to stay at the team because you've been there for a long time and everything like that, but then you want to be kind of compensated. But if the coaches change, then you might want to go, all right, I'm going to go somewhere else. I'm going to go to another team. But this is a long conversation and a long point. But if you're a local player, okay, very often local players want to be part of the local team that they're part of, that they grew up in, that they watched. Let's just take Bangalore for an example. They've lived there for their whole lives. They've gone to RCB. They've been cheering on Virat Kohli since they were 10 years old. Now they're 18. Now there's a chance they can play for RCB. They want to play for RCB. They don't want to go to another team. They want to play for RCB because they've been going there to Bangalore for forever, supporting one team. But if the auction comes up and Chennai buys them or Mumbai buys them, they're gonna go. They're gonna go. They're gonna go to those teams. But the retention thing is an interesting one, just because I think that even though those numbers are there, it doesn't necessarily mean that those players are going to get those numbers. And if a player is not comfortable with that amount, he might want to say, look, I'm out, I'm going somewhere else. I certainly know that happened in my case, but I was lucky enough to negotiate to a number that I thought was good enough, and I ended up staying with the team for a couple more years, which put me in a position to be able to live the life that I live. So it's a bit of give and take, but it worked out.
Look, I spoke to few players because I'm close to a lot of players because I maintain a relationship with players. It's not just come there, give the strategy, go there. You know how close we got to each other, you know, when we worked together in Proteas and all these things. I spoke to a few players who are legends now in Indian cricket. But to be honest with you, you ask them, you know what they said. Look, there is a chance that I might be the last time for the auction. This is going to be the last 1, 2, or 3 years for my IPL career. I want to be in a place where I love. I want to go to CSK. I want to go to Mumbai Indians. I want to go to Royal Challengers Bangalore. They've got a lot of fan base who wants me to play for that. So I'm asking you a question. Yeah. You know how much you were loved by RCB. You know that how much you were loved by RCB when the first 3 years you played for them, and they bought you back after some time. You should see the love, the reception, what you got. So what I'm asking is, some point of time, you know, every good thing has to come to an end. Your career as a player, your career as a coach, your life will come to an end at some point of time. So what I'm asking is, at that time when you see, okay, this is going to be probably my last auction, last 3 years, you'll be thinking about, okay, I want to have this much of money. I want to have this say. I want to be the top retention. It is going to be a prestige for me. Or you, in your perspective, will think, look, the last 3 years, I want to be in a place where it has captured my heart. What will be your thinking on this? Then we can move to the retentions.
No, you're spot on. You're spot on. I think that all depends on the individual, on the player themselves, you know, and where they are comfortable with themselves. I mean, if I can speak from my personal point of view, I got to a point where I thought maybe financially I was fine. I'm accepting how much that I've earned in my life, and I'm okay with that. Ideally, you always want to make more money because that's how we live. I'm going to have kids and I want to pass that on, and I've got a family I want to look after. So the more I can make, the better, obviously. But in cricket, sometimes we need to take a step back and we need to go, why is it that we played and what is it that we're playing for? And some players might look at it and they might go, I've got 2 or 3 more years left in my career. I'm going to try and make top dollar. I'm going to try and make as much money as I can. So I'm going to go from league to league to league, and I'm going to try and play as well as I can. I'm going to practice as hard as I can so I can get paid top dollar, because this is about the last 3 years that I got. When I looked at myself, I looked at where I wanted to play, and what and under who I wanted to play. So there was a small part of me that I always, throughout my whole career, was a big admirer of MS Dhoni. And I always asked players that played at Chennai, I was like, how does he work? Because I'm a bowler, he's a captain, he's a wicket keeper. There's a good relationship between captain and bowler and wicket keeper. So I wanted to know how that relationship worked. So there was a small part of me that really hoped that I might get the nod from Chennai and I might be able to go over there. It wasn't even a point of playing. I didn't really care whether I played. I just wanted to be in the environment to see how this man who's won World Cups, ICC Champs trophies, IPLs, all of these things, how does his mind work and how does he function? And I was willing to take, whether it be a pay cut or a play cut. And what I mean by play cut is I was willing to sit on the bench just to see how this man operates. Not many players like to go to the IPL and sit on the bench. They want to go to the IPL, they want to play. But that's what I wanted to do in my last 2 years. I was lucky enough to go back to RCB. It was a difficult time because it was COVID, and the way in which we were doing things was not great. We were kind of like trapped in hotels and not allowed to go and practice and not allowed to see people and not allowed to leave and all of that kind of stuff. And in contrast to the way that I've had my whole cricket career, 18 years of playing, we were allowed to do whatever we wanted. We can jump into a tuk-tuk, go to dinner, we could go wherever we wanted to. So it was really difficult for me, also seeing that I was going to play on for more years. So I decided after the 2 years, I was like, nah, I'm done, I'm out. That took too much on me. But younger players who still knew they had 5 or 6 more years, now going on, they were willing to push through, but I wasn't interested. But yeah, I mean, I wanted to play for a guy like MS Dhoni. I would, even today, if someone said to me, you must make a comeback, I would probably get ready just to get into that, so that one, it could make me a better player, an understanding of the game, and potentially two, a better coach going in the future. Because I would love, now as I'm not a player anymore, I'd love to coach teams that can go on to win IPLs, World Cups, and all these other trophies. And I think if you learn from the best, who's done it the most in Dhoni, that would have been quite nice.
It's spot on, to be very honest with you. To be honest with you, that was the only thing I also had in my mind, because I've worked with all the captains, coaches in the world. I want to work 1 year with him. Luckily, it happened in 2016 IPL when he was a captain for the Pune Super Giants. But unfortunately, the campaign didn't go well due to injuries and other things. He does things in the easiest way. He calls me the first meeting and said, look, players love you, the coach love you. You used to give a lot of inputs to everyone, but don't ever come to me and give any inputs unless otherwise I ask you. Look, to be very honest with you, a guy, as you rightly said, I'm going to have a sprain on my cheeks if I keep saying how many trophies has he won. He's a legend himself. He knows what to do. He doesn't need to get any advice from anyone. And sometimes you see, when he's trying to think out of the box, he'll be thinking, oh, is this decision right? The moment, without even the thinking, that goes out of your mind, and he gets it right when a particular change he makes, a field position, trying to bring in a player. But you will certainly love working with him, because the first thing he will call you is first to make a relationship with you, to ask, what is your strengths? What do you want to do? He will first listen to what you say as a player, if you're of that quality. If you're a youngster, he's going to call you and advise you to say, look, I'm going to guide you, I'm going to do this. If someone like DALE STEYN is going to work with him, first thing he will ask, what do you want to do? This is going to be a role. You're going to bowl 2 in power play. You're going to bowl 2 in death overs. What is your thoughts? Are you going to be attacking? If you're going to be defensive, what is going to be the type of deliveries you bowl? What kind of Yorkers? What field setup? He will listen to you first. And then he will say, don't you think this will be better? That is the bestest way of doing things, and he will love him to the core, to be honest with you. The second thing, he doesn't play the blame game. He doesn't come out, and I've been the part of a tough campaign for him in IPL where the team kept on losing. He never comes in, point out fingers or anyone. He doesn't show his anger or anything. Just come there and say, well done, boys, get onto the bus, 5 minutes. You don't see many captains say that. And one thing I can tell you, I have worked with you as a player. I want to tell this to the viewers. In 2008, when we were playing IPL, in one of the games where we scored close to 130 or something, the other team rockets in 15 overs. Dale Steyn comes to me, the dugout where I'm sitting, coming and screaming, why the hell is our batsman not throwing the bat like that? Tell me the three boundaries what I gave. What's wrong with the delivery? I was so worried that he's going to break my laptop. I'm telling you, I was protecting my laptop like this. That is the passion at which Dale Steyn played his cricket. That is a passion he batted whenever his team wanted to save a test match. What he did almost by hanging out 1 hour against Harris, Mitchell Johnson, and all these guys in Cape Town fighting for a draw. And now he said that how much he wanted to work with MS Dhoni. But I'm sure only one thing I want to tell you. Now he's available. I'm sure that Chennai Super Kings management will definitely take an eye on it to get someone as invaluable as Dale Steyn as a fast bowling coach there to take their fast bowling thinking to the next level. Hopefully, I wish you that's going to happen, Delo. Now let's go to the retentions. I'm going to ask you one thing. You might have seen the number of retentions that have been made by all the franchises. According to you, I'm going to say my opinion as well. Which top two teams have really done well to set up a strong core for the auctions? Which two teams, in your opinion, you feel haven't done well? I'm definitely going to give my opinions, which I've been giving, but I want to hear from you.
Let me look. I think my two favorite teams so far in terms of retention is one is Mumbai. Okay, they're I think the best one. And then two I think is Chennai. That's just my opinion. I don't have to go into order as to who's 3, 4, and 5 and 6. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just say why I like Mumbai and why I like Chennai, and then from that you can establish why I'm not a big fan of particularly why some of the other teams. Let's take Punjab out of it completely, because I think Punjab is looking for a clean slate. So they've hardly retained anybody. Shashank is a great player. I think he's a really, really good player. So that's a good one to just keep. And they probably should have kept Arshdeep. But who knows? Maybe they've got the right to match. They'll buy him back. Who knows? But they're a team on their own right now because they're looking for a clean slate. So, from a Mumbai and a Chennai point of view, the thing that I like about Mumbai is that if you look at your best football teams around the world, there's a core group of players, especially in my mind when I think back to like your early days of Manchester United, with Beckham and and Ryan Giggs, and you go through these players, or Arsenal, and you got Thierry Henry, and you go through these players. There's a list of players that stick with the brand for a particular long time, and not only are they world-class performers, but they're also part of a world-class team. They're winning all the time. They really are. They're winning all the time. So let's just look at Mumbai quickly. They've got Rohit, they've got Hardik, Sky, Tilak Varma, and Bumrah. Rohit is at the top of the order, opening the batting. You got Sky and Tilak Varma in the middle with Hardik, who bowls and is captain. Okay, and then you got Bumrah at the end, who's your bowler. They've got it covered, in my sense. They've got top, middle, and end covered. Now they can, and they're all local players. They're all incredibly good local players. So they play for India and they're local players. A lot of teams sometimes struggle to find that experience in terms of local players, and they look for the experience in overseas players. And that's inconsistent because you just never know, what's going to happen from your overseas players. So that's what I like. Now from there, they can really just establish themselves. They might buy an overseas opening batter to join Rohit, Then they're going to get another local that might slip in at 3. They might not even need a local that slips in at 3 because they got Sky and Tilak Varma, They might get an overseas hitter in the middle over there somewhere. They might even get another local hitter in the middle there somewhere, and then they're gonna just have to get maybe 1 or 2 spinners, local spinners, which is definitely on the auction table in terms of Ashwin, Chahal. There's a couple, but I think that they've covered their bases in terms of locals, and they're the best locals from top, middle to the end, and I think Chennai has done the same thing. They've got their captain, so their captains are done, out of the way. They've got their coach. This is what good teams do. They've got their ducks in a row already. Their fans are already looking at it, and their fans are going, "Oh, we've got a team. We've got a team." They got 6 aside. They can win the tournament with those players alone. you know. So, and that's what Chennai have done again. They've got someone at the top, they got guys in the middle, and they got Jadeja, although it's not a quick bowler, but they got Jadeja and they got Patirana who can bowl at the end. So they've covered themselves top, middle, and bottom. And now they just need to fill in the gaps, same as Mumbai. But what they've done really well is they've kept a core group of players that the fans support, that the fans enjoy, and the players from other teams fear. That's the big thing. Like, wow. It's like having AB de Villiers in your team and telling the world, listen, I'm coming to this tournament and I've got AB de Villiers in my team. You're already 20 runs behind the game because you know AB is in the opposition team. We've got a month before the auction and a couple months before the start of the IPL. Other players are already sitting there thinking to themselves, I've got to play against Bumrah. I hope that I get into his team, you know. I've got to play against Dhoni. I hope that I get into his team because he's smart. He's going to outthink me. He's going to outthink. They're winning because they've already done that. That's my opinion. Other teams, they're fine. They've probably got their ways of thinking, whether it be Capitals, Sunrisers have got some magic overseas players, and there is method to everyone's madness. But I like the way that Mumbai and I like the way that Chennai have done their things so far. I think the local players are who wins you the tournament. And they've done the best so far.
You're spot on, Delo. To be very honest with you, what it is needed from Mumbai right now is one of the Indian experienced spinners, one overseas foreign batsman who can keep wickets, and two overseas seamers. They will surely get with the budget. Look, and another thing, if you see that in the main auctions, unfortunately, the foreign players will not swell as much as money as the Indian players do. That is a trend.
Yeah.
So that is where they're very clever in retaining all the Indian players. They will try and buy back Quinton de Kock, I'm telling you. That's one thing I can tell you right now. And they may probably
That's what I was
try and
saying.
get
Opening batter, overseas
Trent,
opening batter. Didn't want to say the name, but I just, yeah.
exactly. Trent Bolt as well. They will try and buy. There is plenty of supply of foreign fast bowlers because if you see, hardly the foreign overseas seamers are retained. If you see the retention list, apart from Patirana, apart from Pat Cummins, there is not much of a foreign
Stark's
overseas
gone.
seamers.
KG not in Punjab. Marco Jansen. I'm just saying Marco Jansen as a name. Faruqi. You know how good Faruqi is. I'm not saying that he must be retained. It's very difficult for a team to retain six. Okay, and I get it. Like you're only allowed to retain. What was it? Only allowed to retain six players.
Maximum of six. Yeah.
Yeah, so it is difficult to pick your favorite six players, and especially if they're overseas players, it's difficult to pick those overseas players because I think the locals are who wins you the tournament. You get you get experience from your overseas players. Granted, Klaasen is going to be amazing. He is amazing. Stubbs is going to be amazing, but it's at the end of the day, it's the IPL. People tend to forget what that stands for. Indian Premier League. Indian Premier League. It's your Indians that win you the tournament. Your best Indians. There's 7 of them that play versus 4 overseas players. And if you look at Mumbai, very often they don't even play all 4 overseas players because they've got such a good talent in terms of local Indian players. They often play 3 overseas, maybe sometimes 2, because they know that those are the guys that are going to be there next year, the year after. So they back them and they do really well. And the overseas just come and do the job that they ask them to do.
Perfectly said. So if you see that they
not relying on an overseas.
Yeah, perfectly. So now if you see that the amount of budget, what they look, a lot of people might be saying that it's a little less, but they've made their homework. There are plenty of foreign opening batsmen who can join Rohit, who can keep wickets, someone like Gubas, someone like Phil Salt, even Josh Butler, who will definitely go for high, might be out of the budget. Quinton de Kock, the fast bowlers, you listed a lot of fast bowlers. One investment they will still make is to go all out to get one of Krunal Pandya, Ravi Ashwin, Yajwendra Chahal, or Rahul Chahar to make sure 6 strong core Indians and then supported by foreign overseas. So it's going to be one great thing. And second thing, you summed it up because in my podcast, I also said that Emma and CSK have done the right job. You see that they had one foreign overseas bowler who's going to win games for them, bowling with sharing Yorkers, speed and variations, Patirana. They got Shivam Dubey in the top and middle order. It's going to be really devastating. They got a captain who's going to have a bad season to get 500 runs, as you rightly mentioned. And then you've got someone like Dhoni, who just need his presence to be there.
That's
You
it.
don't expect
There you
anything
go.
else from him. You want to see him keeping the wickets. You want the players to see the face of him to get inspired, where he's come up from the
That's
out
it.
of the box thinking to help, the captain. So they also have a strong quote. Now I'm putting another googly for you. One last googly. Whom do you think? See, let's take RCB and Punjab Kings out, because even RCB, as you rightly spoke,
Yeah.
like Punjab, they're just coming from a scratch. They've only retained 3 players. Punjab have retained 2 players. Now, what I'm asking, the rest of the 6 teams, which teams you feel have not really used their retentions well? No, I'm not saying that they've done a bad job. What I'm asking is less
Yeah.
usage of retentions, in your opinion.
I mean, it's much over much. I've got my list over here. Yeah, we got the stuff's all falling out. This is what we worked on the other day. It's a tough one. It is a tough one because I was listening to Rahul Dravid from Rajasthan, and he spoke about all the players that he could have retained. Some wonderful players. Maybe a surprise from Rajasthan is that they kept Hetmeyer um, instead of maybe a Butler at the top. Butler's been so good. Every IPL he goes to, he's there with the orange cap, like he's close to it. So I thought if you're going to keep an overseas, maybe Butler would have been the guy. But left-handers in the middle order that can hit the ball out of the ground, left-hand, right-hand combination in the middle as you're going into the later overs it's invaluable. You think about David Miller, you think about Hetmeyer, Shivam Dubé, left-handers, because a lot of teams like to pick this or left arm like that to have a left-hander there. So maybe from that point of view, Rajasthan. But I don't know. I mean, it's tough to tell who is the weak link of all of these. I more looked at it as who was the best. And then, like you said, rightly so, you said you've got RCB and probably Punjab that are just completely off the list. I think the others kind of all fall into the same category. I think Sunrisers might have a difficult time because they've spent a lot of their money on their overseas players, which is fantastic overseas players. But with my time at Sunrisers, I realized that the local players is who you really wanted. You really wanted during my time there, you really wanted 1 or 2 more senior local players just to take a leadership role in terms of somebody who can speak the local language, somebody who can stand up and own the team and not have an overseas player come and own the team, because you need a strong personality to do that. And Pat Cummins certainly is one. Now, I wasn't with the team this year due to a personal reason. So I'm not sure how Pat manages that, but a good local to kind of keep all the local players in check. And at Sunrisers, there was a group of young local players. So you needed somebody to really rally them in. That's where Dhoni's so good, because he doesn't have to bat. He doesn't have to bowl because he doesn't bowl. He just needs to be there to inspire. So if a team like Sunrisers can get a healthy, older overseas Indian individual in their lineup, then they can start winning. But if they're going to buy a lot of local young players, it's going to be really difficult that they got these high-profile overseas players and then very young local players. So you need to have a good mixed balance. Yeah, so that's it. I thought one other thing with RCB is that they could have had better chats with Siraj to keep him, because he's a good local bowler. Unless there's a conversation that they don't want him there anymore and they might be shopping for another local fast bowler. But it was just interesting to see that like some of the other teams, a lot of the players like Rohit Sharma, some of these other players took pay cuts to keep players retained. Whereas RCB, they pay Virat Kohli top dollar. He is an amazing player and worth every cent. But I thought there might be some negotiation there where Virat might not earn as much. He might earn maybe 18 or 19 crore, which is still a lot of money. And there might be a conversation with a Siraj to say, look, let's keep you for 12 or something, because he might go into the auction and get that anyway. So he may have been saying, no, 9 or 10 is not enough. I want a little bit more. And that's where your conversation with a Kohli may have come, where they've had it with Rohit and everybody else, just to keep that balance. But I'm not there, so I'm not too sure. That said, Virat Kohli is worth every cent. I would still pay him that amount of money because he brings in the crowds. He's a fantastic player, and you're probably going to keep him there for 2 or 3 more seasons, maybe. I don't know. If he plays like Dhoni, it might be another 10. And he wants to win. He wants to win it for RCB. So here's my question to you. Do you think he's in a captain? I think he's in a captain.
For me, he
I
has
think
to
he's going to
captain.
be.
To be very honest with you, Faf did an amazing job. I really rate Faf as a captain. But unfortunately, look, Dale, I want to tell you something. Be it Royal Challengers Bangalore, be it South Africa, they've seen enough semi-finals and finals. Don't come to me and tell you that we had a good tournament, we couldn't cross the line. We have been hearing this for South Africa since 1992 readmission and for
Yep.
OCB from 2008. No one wants to hear how you finished second on anything. 99
No.
is the half century and 100 is a century. The difference is 1 run. So for me, to be
Yep.
very honest with you, they tried everything. Faf was an amazing captain. I like him, but unfortunately, he couldn't cross a line. Now we need to get that aggressive intent of Virat Kohli. You want to put Virat Kohli as a captain. One advantage they've got is now, as you said, they've only retained 3 players. They're going to bring a massive load of local players. I wanted Yuzvendra Chahal or Ashwin, one of them surely to be back, preferably Yuzvendra Chahal. They have to probably try and get one Indian big batsman as well. Whoever that suits it, be it Pant, be it KL Rahul or whoever it is, they have to set up a strong court. Buy back Mohammad Siraj. Shami is in the auction. Try and get him. They need to have their toss cut out, to be honest.
Shami's a big one for them. I think that's the big thing with them. I mean, could you imagine if they got Siraj and Shami as because that's one of the things with RCB is that they've never backed their bowlers. Like I don't personally think that they've ever really backed their bowlers. If you think RCB, you think Virat Kohli, you think Chris Gayle, you think AB de Villiers. Even now lately, you're thinking Glenn Maxwell, Cameron Green is slightly starting to come into that fold. Will Jacks. You don't really think to yourself, where are the bowlers? Where are the bowlers that have stayed there for a long period of time? They've never really invested in a couple good solid bowlers. I know they had some young Indian bowlers. You know, they had Saini there for a while, Navdeep Saini, which is really good. But none of those bowlers went on to play for India for a strong, long period of time. I think that's been always RCB's Achilles heel, is that they've always just fallen short with the bowlers. So their batters can go and make 240 runs at the Chinnaswamy. But then their bowlers won't be able to defend it. They'll lose in the last over or the second last over. So they might need to look at bowlers and look at the way that they do things slightly differently coming into this big auction. That might be a case for them.
You spot on, actually. To be very honest with you, in 2011, we got that trio of AB de Villiers, Chris Gayle, and Virat Kohli. So it worked to some extent. Then we came to understand that that's not going to win a tournament. It may take you to the playoffs. Unfortunately, after our management left, they changed that to Kohli, Maxwell, and Faf from AB de Villiers, Chris Gayle, and Kohli. So if
they
you
just changed the name. They didn't change the format in which they did things.
The results have
the
also
names.
not changed. The results have also not changed. They go to the playoffs. They're one of the most consistent teams to get into playoffs. So like I said, if you're happy with getting into playoffs, that's fine. If you really have an ambition of winning the trophy, they have to make sure this time the strength is going to be with the ball and not with the batsman. Because I'm asking you a question. In Chinnaswamy, if you got 5 quality batsmen, you can bat badly to get 185, but you've got 5 quality bowlers. You can chance your arms to see if you can defend 185. If they're going to again take the route of 7 strong batters, the disappointment will continue for them, is my theory. What do you think being played there for 3 years, Dylan?
No, I agree. And I think, batters win you games, bowlers win you tournaments. And people, that's a saying, that's an overall saying. That's not my saying. That's an overall saying. Everyone knows that. And what people don't understand by that saying is that when you get into a semi-final or a final and your team makes 180, okay, you've only made 180, but it's a final. If your bowlers bowl well, that 180 feels like it's 300, okay, with the crowd against you. And when your bowlers are bowling well, you can defend 180 if you've got a good bowling lineup. That is the truth. They will win you those games. So that's why you need a proper bowling attack and at least 2 guys in that bowling lineup for RCB that have been there, that have done that. And I think a guy like Shami, a Siraj, and maybe one overseas other bowler But also they need some spin because half their games are going to be away from home. So they need that too. But bowlers win you tournaments. That's it. Look at Mitchell Starc. Went for big cash. Didn't do much the whole IPL. Got into the final. When they needed him, took, what was it, 3 wickets or whatever it is, broke the Abhishek, Travis Head partnership. And that is why he was worth every cent at the end of the day, and probably why he will be one of the highest paid, again, of what is going to go into the auction from an overseas point of view. Again, it'll be somebody like him who makes that amount of money, because KKR and other teams see the value in winning the tournament and not just playing well consistently throughout the whole tournament.
Imagine you nailed it on. Let us go to one thing there. RCB's 2011 final. Chennai scored 209 or something. The bowlers couldn't deliver. We couldn't chase it down to the slow Chennai pitch. We lost it. And another final, if you see, they hosted in Chinnaswamy. They conceded 210 or something to Sunrisers in 2016. And they couldn't chase it down. They lost by a close margin. And the one more thing, if you see that there, the 2009, if you see, you are part of us, we both worked together, when we played in Johannesburg. See the difference in the conditions against the Deccan Chargers. Later on, he joined the team in the next auction. We couldn't chase 145. That is totally a different thing altogether. The 3 finals, what RCB has made, if you take the 2 into consideration, they bleeded 200 plus in the final. And then you rightly said, you need bowlers to come into the picture. We didn't have that Mitchell Starc to come there and blast your top 3 out to get you into a solid position. So hopefully, like what you said, they will try and make sure they change the combination to that. Now we have gone through each and everything. I'm going to put you in another fix now. Yes, it's too early to ask you, but you have seen the retentions there. Which team you feel can build a beautiful core of strength, what they have retained, and possibly where you feel one step closer to the playoffs? Which 4 teams, according to you?
Yeah, I mean, all the teams are pretty good, eh? Pdog, we're going to run out of time. We might have to reboot this Zoom, so I'll try and go through it. But I mean, I said earlier that I like the mentality of Chennai. I think they buy well in the auction. I think Dhoni is very smart and Fleming is very smart. And I think sometimes we might have 1 or 2 teams that might be a bit gung-ho when it comes to bidding. So we might see Pant go for a lot of money, which he deservedly needs to go for. We might see KL also go for a lot of money. And then Shreyas Iyer also go for a lot of money because they're 3 Indian captains. And then what that does is it takes a couple teams and it really hits their pockets quite deep. And that's when Chennai jump in, and they're very smart, and they pick up players that are incredibly efficient players. Conway, I mean, I can't even think of any other players right now, but Conway, Patirana, okay? They're very, very efficient. They win games. They know how to play, and they're very smart. And they're going to go under the radar, and they'll probably come out of this auction with money in the bank. Still to spare. They're just very smart at how they spend their money, and I think a team like Punjab might put together a nice team. They might put together a nice team, but they don't have the availability of some of the bigger Indian name players because they've been taken up by Mumbai, they've been taken up by Chennai, they've been taken up by Rajasthan. From Samsung to Sandeep Sharma, whoever it is, but they've got a massive purse, and they'll be able to pick up your best overseas, your local seamers, though, Shami and your spinners. So we might see Punjab jump in very smartly. Okay, so yeah, the big money, obviously from a local point of view, and I think the biggest news obviously is Pant. I mean, this is no secret. Pant, KL, Shreyas Iyer, obviously 3 wonderful players, all have different skill sets. And the ability to captain, Shreyas, KL, Pant, they can all captain a team. So there's a couple teams that are rebuilding themselves. RCB is one, Punjab is another. And then we've just got 1 or 2 other teams that might be interested, that might sneak these guys in. But I think your biggest money is going to go to a Rishabh Pant. He can keep wicket, he can bat in the middle order, and he's left-handed. And he's so quick. We watched him in a test match today. I think he scored 50 or 36 balls again today. So You know, he's just making that stake for his name in the auction even bigger and more acclaimed. And there are a couple teams that are short of captains too. So there's a couple teams that are going to be potentially reaching out at these players and saying, we don't only want your services from a playing point of view, but we potentially want you to captain too. Shreyas likely to go back to Delhi, I think. I think we're going to see KL go to RCB, just my opinion. And then Pant is going to be a fight. It's going to be a fight for wherever he goes, but who knows? I'm not too sure. Now, maybe, I don't know. What do you think, Pdogg?
You're
Where do you
spot
think he's
on
going to
when
go? Do
it
you think
comes
he's
to
going to go to CSK? Because Dhoni's going to retire in a couple of years, but they wouldn't want to, you know. But Punjab will get some money, you know. So
my call. When
that's
you
it.
ask me, you got things right. KL might go to RCB, and Shreyas Iyer is definitely going to Delhi as a captain. And I expect Pant to go to Punjab. I'm telling you, they are going to shell 25 to 30 crores to get him on board. Look, one more thing I'm telling you, Delo, you know, you understand this well. It is going to be the pain of putting so much of money in this auction. Pant is very young. He's going to play 7 to 8 years of cricket. And comes the next auction after 3 years, you're going to retain him for half of the money. What are you going to pay him now? So that investment
Yeah,
is never going to be wasted. And I have a
yeah.
strong feeling this might be a shock for you. I want to hear your thoughts. There is a chance that Fab du Plessis might captain KKR. What are your thoughts on this?
Oh, KKR. I'm not sure. I think Faf's going to the IPL. If Faf is going to the IPL, he's going to captain the team. Correct?
Exactly.
I don't see Faf going to the IPL and not captaining a team. He led RCB to, did he lead them to a final or at least playoffs? He's led them to playoffs.
He led him
He's
to
recently
playoffs.
won. He recently won the CPL. And he's captain material. There's not a lot of captains out there that are like shrewd, good captains, the way that Faf is. So if he's going to the IPL, he's going to captain them. KKR would do well if they had Faf go there because he's going to open the batting. Let me just see. KKR is going to open the batting for sure with Sunil
Imagine,
Narayan.
imagine Sunil Narayan and Fab du Plessis opening the batting. They've got Rinku Singh, they got Varun Chakravarti, they got Harshit Rana, they got uncapped player Ramandeep Singh. And if you get a guy like Faf, I can tell you one thing on Faf. People might say he's 40 years of age. He looks fit as a fiddle. It's my team which lost.
Age and fitness is not a problem. Age and fitness is not a problem. Is he gonna blend in well with Chandikant Pandit, who's the coach there? Is it gonna go? Are they gonna see eye to eye? That's a big question. I don't know him very well as a coach. Um, when it comes to local coaches as opposed to overseas coaches, would Faf be better with an overseas coach like a Fleming or a Flower or a Dan Vittori, for example? I'm not saying he's going to Sunrisers. I'm just saying, would he do better under an overseas coach as opposed to a local coach? Would you not want to have a local coach, have a local captain? We look at Delhi and we might have Shreyas Iyer going to Delhi. We've got Hamang there. They might work well together. Some of the other teams, overseas coaches, they're either going to have a big name local Indian player as a captain or an overseas captain. What are your thoughts there?
Look, to be very honest with you, one good thing about Faf is he's very humble, he's down the earth. He's not an egoistic captain, he's open to ideas. Chandrakant Pandit, I can tell you, I know him for many years. He's a very strict disciplinarian and he wants to give it all he wants for the team. He's a wonderful coach, he's open to ideas. And second thing, what I'm hearing, our closest friend, one of the greatest all-rounders the cricket has ever produced, might be the mentor of KKR. That is none other than Oogie, Oogie, Oogie. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Is going to be the mentor. You still don't
Who's that? Dwayne
understand?
Bravo?
That is Jack Callis.
No.
I'm hearing that there is a chance that they are planning to get him back as a mentor role because Jatrakant Pandit is already there. So Gambhir
Look,
has
he's not.
left.
It's a fair call because Callis is not with the SA20 this year. So it opens up his calendar a little bit to go there. And you're right, like if you get an overseas mentor in Callis, then having an overseas captain like Faf might work really, really well for them. And Callis and Venki are very, very tight, you know, so that might work in favor of Faf. It's a good call. It's a good call.
Della, I'm telling you only one thing. With my experience of running around for 23 years in the field for different global leagues, few of the mentors, the players don't want them to coach. They want to see their face to get inspiration. They see Sachin
Yeah.
Tendulkar, they get inspired. They see Jack Callis, they get inspired. They don't really want them to come down to the ground and coach and do the technical things. If they have the hands around their shoulder and say, look, I'm backing you. I expect you to
I've
perform.
been there, I've done that, I've seen it, I've felt this. Yeah.
So, to be honest with you, Jack Callis is someone who's loved by everyone in the world. He is such an unbelievable character. He's very knowledgeable. He's only got respect wherever he has gone. Now it's not part of SA League. There is I'm hearing that. I'm not sure about it. I'm hearing because Gautam Gambhir has left, Abhishek Nair has left. There are a lot of slots to be filled in the KKR thing. If you ask me, to be honest with you, I don't have any other Indian captain to get in. Another guy whom I can say, probably, I'm asking you, is Ashwin, but Ashwin cannot fit in KKR because they've got Sunil Narayan, they've got Varun Chakravarti. I don't think they are even going to bid him. So if you say that, I would.
No, they wouldn't, because how's he gonna? He wouldn't play there either. He's playing in Kolkata, tiny ground, Eden Gardens, right arm off spin, and if he's your captain, you have to play him. So what does he play? He wouldn't play as a batter. So KKR, they're not putting their money down on Ashwin. He knows that.
For me, I want to get a captain who's a proven captain. And let me tell you with my experience, IPL is the most difficult tournament to work because you tell me which team out of the 10 teams after the auctions will look bad. None of them. If you go to other leagues, I can tell when I'm doing my analysis, okay, this team looks a bit weak. They're not going to qualify. You can never say this team is not going to qualify in IPL because the class of the tournament of the players,
it's always close.
So
there's always close. And you know how it works too. The IPL always works that there might be one runaway team. There's always a one runaway team that does, like, they've won 9 out of 10 games. And then for the playoffs, you could finish in 8th place and you were 1 game away from making the playoffs. That's how the IPL teams, the bottom, and sometimes there's a team that wins the wooden spoon that is like horrible. That happens. They win like 1 or 2 games all season. That's unfortunate. Things don't work out for them. But very often teams that finish 8th and 9th, like right at the bottom, like of the table, you know, they're 1 or 2 wins. They were 1 or 2 wins away, somewhere in the middle, maybe even at the back end of the tournament, where they just look back and they go, if we just won that game, if we just won that 1 game, we would find ourselves in this position because this other team didn't do that. So you're right. You look at the IPL teams at the end, once the auction is done in a month's time, and you're going to go, wow, on paper, all of these teams really stack up really well. But it boils down to, is your captain and your coach, have they got a good relationship? And has your captain and coach got a good relationship with their players and the environment? If that's not good, and you've got all the names on paper, you can still lose. Look at Mumbai last year. And I'm not saying Mark Boucher's not a good coach. I'm just saying, all the players, something wasn't right. Hardik was being booed left, right, and center. And it's no surprise that they didn't do as well as they should have.
Della, that's only one thing. You know, you also played cricket at the highest level. You're coaching now cricket at the highest level. If the relationship between the captain and the coach, even though personally they are in good terms, professionally, if it's not syncing, you have got no chance of winning. That's my least experience, what I've known. So KKR will be thinking, and another thing, Faf will be go close to maybe 5 crores. I don't see him going more than that. That's 800,000 US, something like that. So if you want to see the guy is fit enough, he's still performing, he just won a CPL title. I just want to make sure my opening batting problem is also solved. I want to get him rather than trying to get an untrusted captain, young captain, getting in there and you get a hit in the first season. Let me tell you, and they have to go through with that to the next 2 seasons because you're not going to get a captain material from the second auction or consequent third auction. So people have to be very careful in choosing their captain. Now, the last thing before ending it up, I definitely want an answer from this. I want you to say which four teams, I'm not saying whether they're going to the playoffs, which four teams can be a potential threat moving into the auction after the auction with the retentions what they've made. Can you give your top four? And then I will also give mine.
Okay, it's always tough. But I always think that Mumbai and Chennai are going to be there. They're going to be there. I think they've got the best local players so far. I think Rajasthan have got a good job of some of the good younger local players, you know. So I'm going with Mumbai and Chennai as bankers in my top four. And now I've got two other teams. It's difficult, Pdogg, because we're not sure.
No, that bad close together to play the googly. Two more, come on.
Two more. There's a small part of me that thinks Punjab might actually turn things around with Ponting there. And with a big purse, they might be able to build a team same way that Gujarat Titans built a team and were able to win. I think that there's a small chance that they could put things together. They could put things together because they got a clean slate. So they're saying clean slate, boom, here we go. But they don't have the resources of all the good players. They don't have Rohit. They don't have Bumrah. They don't have Kohli. They don't have Sky. They don't have. There's all these players that you can go through that don't have Dhoni. That whatever it is. So they might struggle in that sense. But Rajasthan Royals is going to be my third team, just because they. I think so. They might buy either Chahal or Ashwin back. They're going to need a spinner, so that's for sure. And then my fourth team,
come on, Dylan.
maybe KKR. And I'm going to say Sunrisers as well as they did last year, and I was part of Sunrisers. I think that they might, I don't know, that opening pair, they've banked on them being Abhishek and Travis Head. I think they were fantastic last year. It would be incredible if they were able to do that again a second year. And not many times do we see that happen. That's my only thing, is I just don't ever really see it happening twice in a row. Lightning doesn't often strike twice like that, and I feel that's where they put a lot of eggs in that basket. It might not happen for them. So, and they don't have those. So my four, I don't want to harp on and about: Mumbai, Chennai, Rajasthan, KKR.
It's a very good pick, actually, what you said. I also have the same doubt with Sunrisers because they have to build an Indian core with less price of purse left. That is the only thing. The 5 retentions, what they made is gone. Now they have to get now they have to get the big Indian fishes. First of all, the other teams like RCB and Punjab, where they got so much of money, won't allow them to build that core. That's going to be one challenge for them. So for me,
that's what we were talking about. Just to hop on that. That's what I think other teams are going to be smarter. They're going to go, look, we know you need these overseas, these local players, and they're going to have money, and they're just going to push. And Sunrisers are going to get to a point where they're going to pay an astronomical amount of money for a local player that was, God forbid it, not worth that amount of money compared to somebody else that's earning the same amount of money as them. But that's how the auction works, you know. So anyway, carry on.
Spot on. So I am with you on Mumbai. I am with you on Chennai, but I'm taking Rajasthan out. I'm putting my favorite RCB in because they made 3 good retentions and then they got a chance to build the team. Definitely. So I'm getting RCB in, and my 4th team is also KKR, but one challenge: are they going to fill the captaincy void the best way possible to strike a balance? If they do that, 3 teams, I'm agreeing with you, but I'm taking Rajasthan out and putting RCB in for a reason. Let us see what's going to happen. We'll come back again with DALE STEYN after the auctions. How close are we after that? Are we both going to stick on to the same predictions before winding it up? I want to ask a question to the viewers. We've got a lot
I need to write this down. Who were your 4 teams and who are my 4 teams? Because we need to look at this. I'm going Mumbai,
Chennai. KKR. We in par with these 3. And your 4 team
KKR and Rajasthan. You're saying the same, you're saying the same, and then you're going RCB.
Okay. So the
Yeah.
only thing I want is we're going to see how closer we get. We're going to come with another episode to see whether we're going to stick on to the same thing after the work has been done by the auctions. Many people will be watching it, not for me, for DALE STEYN, and we've got some quite a decent of subscribers as well. I personally, as a CSK fan, wanted DALE STEYN to be the bowling coach of CSK. Write your comments. How many of you want to get the Palabova Express into it?
Can I just say, I think Eric Simons has been fantastic with CSK. I certainly don't sit here and think that I need to take anybody's spot. Eric, I actually reached out to Eric a few times to see to understand how he does things, especially the first time that I came to the IPL, because from a playing point of view, it's interesting. Hey, P-Dog, from a playing point of view, all I ever needed to do was worry about myself and make sure that my kit is here, that I've trained well, and then I focus on playing. I don't have to go to optional trainings if I don't want to. I don't have to do all of that kind of stuff. I go see the physio, and that's me. As a coach now, new hat, coaching hat on, boom. Okay, it's very interesting because you've been in the coaching world. Believe it or not, you are part of the planning and everything like that. You are part of the. There are meetings, correct? How many meetings do you have? We have so many meetings, okay? Behind closed doors, from a coaching point of view. You want to know, are players fit? Who's in form? What are they thinking? How did this guy practice today? How's this guy's body doing? There's so many. This is from a coaching point of view. And then from the player's point of view, when you get back to your room after all these meetings, I'm like, oh, I'm tired now. Then I get a knock on my door. Hi, coach. Have you got 10 minutes to chat? Now they want to chat, So from a coaching point of view, it is full on. It is 24 hours, and you know what time the IPL games finish? They finish at 12 at night. You get back to the hotel at 1:30 in the morning, and then at 2 o'clock, you've got a player wanting to talk to you about his bowling performance or why he's not playing until 4 o'clock in the morning, and then 9 a.m. you've got another meeting to talk about the game that happened the night before. And then there's a 12 o'clock flight to leave. So it is really demanding. So I reached out to guys like Eric Simons just to understand how difficult it is. And Eric was incredible. He was with Texas Super Kings when I was at the MCL. What is it called? MLC?
MLC.
Major League. Yeah. And we spent some time and we spoke there, and I spoke with Albie Morkel also because he's working with Chennai and CSK and JSK, and it was just interesting to see as a player to transition from a player to a coach what you have to take on. It was so much. So Eric was great, but if they're ever looking for someone to come as an assistant bowling coach, for 2 weeks, I'm happy to come.
I want to make it very clear. I worked with Eric. I got a lot of respect for him. Okay. Now you say when you go to
I think was he with the South African team now? He was with the South African team in a couple of World Cups. They did really well. He was with them at the last World Cup. They made the final.
Only for the World Cups. What I'm saying is now
only for the World Cup.
Only for the World Cup as a consultant. Now we are saying as a coach, you come there, you're tired, you come there, someone wants to say, I want to have a talk with you. The only thing is, as you rightly said, don't you remember you knocked my room at 2:20 a.m. in the morning in Bangalore when you were a player?
Yes. But what did I do? What did I do? I did exactly that. So let me tell the viewers what happened is that I played a game for RCB, and I don't know what happened in that game. I can't remember whether I bowled well or I bowled badly. It doesn't matter. But either way, I think I bowled badly, and I wanted to see my bowling, and I spoke to Prasanna. And P-Dog said, come to my room after the game. Have a shower and you can come to my room. So I went back. It was like 2 in the morning. Hey? It was about 2 in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, 2:30 in the morning. We'd just gotten back. And I walked into his room to talk about the bowling and everything. And in the room was his family, and they were all sleeping. And Prasanna was like, no, come. Work never ends. I am here to work. We must work. And I saw his family and I said, no. You guys must sleep and you must relax. There's a time for work and we can do this tomorrow at another time. But you're right. Like, I didn't realize that at some point in time that would happen to me. That's what happened.
What I'm saying is, So having Dale Steyn along with a setup with a successful coach like Eric Salmons is only going to help, is what I'm talking about. Okay. People might go and talk to Eric Salmons about the strategy, my Yorkers, and all these things. Someone wants to talk to Dale Steyn to get an inspiration, being what he was in the past. So it's only going to help. It's not about you taking someone else's job is doing a great job. My question is very simple. You know how stressful is it? You saying about this when someone like me, batters meeting. You know how it works on the match day. Batters meeting, spin bowlers meeting, fast bowlers meeting, team selection meeting, team meeting. So many things. If you really feel like there is someone to assist you, it's always going to be good. And someone like Dale Steyn wearing the yellow jersey is only going to help the team, help the coach who is there, also going to help the players. So all my viewers, I wanted to comment is, as a fan, I'm talking now. You know, I support only two teams, that's RCB and CSK. I will be very happy when Dale Steyn himself said that he wanted to play alongside Dhoni, but unfortunately that didn't happen. At least as a coach, how many viewers think? Please comment.
We can leave it at that. But that said, there's a lot of amazing other players that are at other teams that hopefully in time you get to spend some time with them and whatever. Even as a coach, you know, I played alongside Kohli, I played alongside AB. So the viewers might say, why not go to RCB or something? And it's because I've actually spent some time there before with these individuals and they're great. But now you want to spread your wings. I want to know what makes Sangakkara. I'm good friends with Sanga, but I want to know what made him tick. Mahela is another one. Why is Mumbai such a successful franchise? What is the secret? And I think that's the important thing. Take the money out of it. What is important? How do you make yourself better? I've still got a full life to go. Pdog, I'm halfway through my life. I need to know how I can be successful in many other aspects. And if you can rub shoulders with the best in the world, then it will be worth its salt in the back end. So, yeah, we'll see what happens.
Thanks a lot for your time, Dela. As we promised, I'm sure the viewers will be enjoying it and also want to comment whether how good yellow color might suit the great Palabova Express if he wear it. Once the auction comes, we made our 4 teams which can really come up with a strong core of base. How much are we going to stick on to the same predictions going through to the IPL until we come back and entertain you with your very own Palabova Express? Thanks a lot and bye-bye.
You're welcome, Pdog. I'll see you in a month after the next auction.
Thank you, Delo. Bye-bye. See you.